Uh, Hello, Dr. James. Welcome to Tokyo.
Thank you.
How was your trip here?
Yeah, I was traveling from Hong Kong to Sapporo to here,
Yeah,
right? Very exciting, but very hot trip.
I guess so. But Hong Kong is also a bit hot, right?
Yes, but I've been to Japan for many times, but this is the hottest.
I think so. Yesterday, especially yesterday, was the hottest day around the world. So,
Right.
like horrible weather, I
Yes,
think.
36, 37 degrees Celsius.
Yeah, and the humidity doesn't help at all, right?
Right. But Hong Kong is also a very humid place, right?
Yeah, I hear I've never been there, but they say it's
Right.
very beautiful too, though.
Right. You can feel free to come. Just find me.
Hopefully, yes,
Good.
definitely. So, Dr. James, you are an associate professor at the University of Hong Kong Dental Faculty
Right.
of Dentistry. You are the president-elect at the IDEA Group for dental materials. You write so many papers, you do so many research, but I could read your CV, but I would like you to introduce yourself by yourself.
Right.
Can you do that?
So, yes. So first of all, I'm a chemist by training. So, I did my applied and analytical chemistry 20 something years ago. And then I work a little bit and then I go to study dental material science at the same university, the University of Hong Kong, that I am working now. But after my PhD, I didn't go through directly to academic. I was working in pharmaceutical side, and I also established my company at that time. But then I was have the chance to go back to academia to do some meaningful research work, right? So that's a little bit of my journey to become academic now.
Yeah, nice. And now you're doing dental research,
Yes.
but your specialization is basically a chemist. How did that what happened there? Like, how did you take the dive into dental materials and development?
So mainly because I studied chemistry before, right? And in particular, I'm on applied chemistry. So we have a lot of material science in dentistry, and I guess all clinicians are doing a lot of materials, placing formerly amalgam, now resin composites to restore certain cavity, and even some of the ceramic materials, and let's say the implant is metallic titanium. So all these are chemistry driven, I should say, although they have certain biological function, mechanical behavior, and also physical properties. But these are my motivation to stay here to work on these very exciting projects.
Yeah. And speaking of exciting, where do you see, and I think I know what your answer is going to be, what is the most exciting thing about dentistry at this stage?
I think first, I also work on AI, right? So AI is something that is very although it's not that new, right? But in terms of apply this kind of technology in dentistry would be a little bit new. But I guess this is the right time because we have good computers, we have good computational powers, and we already trained quite a number of researchers in computer science that can help us to deploy the proper technologies to become kinds of not only research but a clinical application now, right? So, for example, even the ISO standard, they are going to establish an on the using the AI for diagnostic radiology, right? So and also the ASTM established measurement using AI few years ago. So that means the AI technologies becomes more mature, right? So yes, this is on one hand, but on the other hand, is we see a lot of materials that it's more so-called innovative, and because formerly we just the ability of the material is just letting the dentist to place onto the patient's quickly or let them go. But nowadays, we would like to see more on the prevention material. And also in terms of the lab material is also improving because a lot of 3D print technology, CAD/CAM, right? So all these are very fascinating and making all these bloom of the dentistry now.
Innovation in dentistry, I would say it's a little bit difficult because, you have a lot of forces coming together in order to come up with a new material. Like it has to fulfill so many things at the same time, right?
True.
So how do you see like innovation in dentistry going like right now? Like which direction is it going to take? More biological or more not ideological, biological or more like digital? Or like maybe a combination of both or...
I think digital is already working more or less 20 years, but still ongoing because at least you see the 3D printing, right? And 3D print the denture or 3D print the titanium mesh, let's say for the implant purpose. So in fact, 3D print is not a very new technology, but deploys very well in dentistry. And formerly, of course, we have some very mature technique about milling. But in terms of the design, we can definitely deploy some of the AI component. Let's say, for example, our group, we use AI to design crown, bridge. But in terms of biological, I think one of the key issue is whether it will alleviate the biological function, right? But when I was talking about biological function, so in fact, just like our teeth itself, our tooth itself is biologically derived, right, from the cell, and then mineralize and become something like the hard tissue. And so now we have artificial material that produced by companies, and whether these materials can make use of the biological function in our human body to enable let's say as a linkage, or to let's say harden, or even have other biological functions. So that has to be studied harder.
Yeah, right. I want to ask you like your opinion on, like, for example, you're a chemist that is doing a lot of dental research using AI, for example. And now many dentists are also thinking of AI or AI solutions. And you talked also about training, researchers to work, to develop these AI technologies or research, right? How much interest do you see from dentists going into this field at this moment?
This is a good question. So for example, my group, my research group, we are not only having dentists to work on multidisciplinary project, because just like normally a company, they do material science, they are not only having dentists to work, they also have material scientists, chemists, even engineers to deploy the products. But in terms of dental research, yes, we have a lot of dentists, they want to do research. But I can also see they also cannot fulfill with certain requirement to study. For example, if I ask them to do some chemical synthesis, no, I don't think this is good. In terms of computational or this kind of AI stuff, in many places, just like in diagnostic science, in fact, they are good, right? And also nowadays, a commercially available software for diagnosis, and also the machine learning are there already. But in terms of if you ask them to write the algorithm, I don't see many dentists can do that, right?
Yeah.
So
that needs special training, right?
Yes. Yeah. So this is a training problem, and so that's why you see in US in US, there are some universities, they are doing engineering and DDS or even the MD together, right? So I think this is a good move, leveraging the engineering aspects into the medical field, right? Like the biomedical engineering, right?
Yeah.
So if a dentist needs to do certain a real meaningful job, I would suggest not to do alone. It should be doing in a group with other discipline, right? Otherwise, it would be a waste of time.
Yeah, right. Because especially in a field like, you know, AI or like data science, right?
Yes.
Like you mentioned, like I think
Yes.
you mentioned it's not AI, it's data science,
Yes.
right? What's the difference?
AI is only for certain purpose of the intelligent behavior of certain system, right? But data science is combining the data and analysis, or you may not need to do so-called artificial intelligence. Just stick in something from the data. Okay, let's say using statistical skills, and after that you may create certain intelligence within the data, and then you can even create some other thing else, right? So we have one thing so-called AI for science. So normally we deploy some science to develop some AI, but nowadays the more fashionable or hot item is AI for science. So how to use AI to drive some science, right? Even the data may have certain pattern, but formally we don't know. It's a black box. So that's why we use so-called the AI, okay? And then to have the input and output, right?
Yeah.
But in fact, if over the input we can identify certain scientific pattern, then it's even better, right? So this is something. That's why I'm saying that AI for science, okay? The science is generated or assisted by the AI technologies.
So skipping the black box is kind of a good thing.
If you can find the pattern, if you can find that, in fact, this is even better, because every AI needs to train, right? But that means that you have sufficient data, you can deduce the logical solution, right? As I mentioned in the earlier lecture, so we have something so-called deep learning, right? So deep learning, in fact, for me, is just a weighted X and Y.
Really?
And so it's a path. You find the optimal path, right?
Yeah.
So how to find the optimal path? And there are some way to do. And this is a specialty for certain kinds of computer science or data science nowadays. We name it this way.
I see. So basically, you know, trying to figure out, because, you know, the black box, I think, is it like a common phrase between, you know, data scientists? Because like I heard this multiple times.
Yes.
It's like a black box. You don't know what's going on in there. And there's no way to figure out what it's doing.
In fact, you can find that.
We can.
Depends on how you do, right? And because you are drilling the black box, you are cracking something. So this is, in fact, for me, it's more interesting. I always want to know why. Let's say because I'm doing on the human teeth morphologies, right?
Yeah.
So why the teeth morphologies will be something like that? Lots of biologists, they are telling you, when the cell acting on this way, then the force will allow the mineralization on this way, right? But does it?
But
true?
why?
I don't know. Can we doing something more interesting, right? For example, you may see the many, early human species, not the Homo sapien, right? But other early human species, right? So why we all normally classify them as class 1 or class 3? Is it a general concept? And then you see that the artist, they presume or they assume they are class 1, and then we draw the face. But can we do something better to trace our origin, let's say, right? So we have some scientific component inside, and we would like to learn from the modern, but then we can learn our past, right? So how to do that? We must have certain, not the algorithm, but a certain science, okay, to deploy this kind of mindset.
I see. And, talking about AI, like many people, and I think we discussed this a little bit earlier, but I would like to also hear your thoughts on the podcast. Many people fear that AI is going to, or like robots are going to replace dentists or like technicians, or how, on your point of view, how do you clarify this and that they're actually not replacing, but they're actually helping? How can you?
So I have two words.
Yeah.
I always say one is AI in dentistry. That means AID, aid. So AI is for help to help everyone. It's not it may replace some of the tedious job, but should help, right? Because I think one of the key issues in our current nowadays education and healthcare personnel management is we don't have enough dentists actually around the world, I should say. So although some at some point some countries they may have too many dentists, but in fact they may be serving for some richer people, right? But how about some of the countries that they even have? I know in Africa there is one country they may train only 10 dentists per year, right? But they have how many millions of people are there, right? So can we use this kind of technology to aid? Okay, so I think that's AI can chip in. Another word I would like to say is AI in robotics, air, right? So air for this term, if a robotics is still need to use human to manipulate, in fact, it's not a robotics. It's just a technology that you can manipulate, right? But the AI is one of the core that help the robots to really deploy some of the decision making or to prevent some of the accidents, right? Because everyone know that yes, robots can do car manufacturing, can even now do an implant drilling, this kind of protocol. But everything what the robot can do is using a human to control, okay, or some preset algorithm or preset program, right? So they can make tedious work only, or the human always need to control the robot, right? But if there is some AI behind, right? In fact, this is firstly to reduce some of the workload of the dentist or even a medical practitioner, but also the robot. If we can have a time to do the autonomous robot, in fact, this is a very helpful in facing the aging society that we are facing now, right? So just like in Japan, is claiming it's one of the super aging society, right? But just like in my place in Hong Kong, 2069, half of the people will be super aged, right? So we have to find a way now for the future, right? So AID, AIR, AIM, AI for medicine, these are all very important things now.
So, and just like you mentioned when you were talking now, like in implantology, like there are AIs or like robotics that actually
do robots
that actually do the implants.
Yep.
How far is this technology?
Oh, this is already done. Let's say in China, it's already done more than 10,000 cases. Yeah, in China at this moment they have 7 companies are selling the robots, and US I think is 2, and Europe maybe 1 or 2, Korea 1. So the implant robot is already there.
And excuse me, I might. This is bad that I'm a host and I don't know about this, but can you talk to us a little bit about the technology? Like what is included in that?
Yeah.
Like what's like how does it work?
Now you can imagine the robot is just an arm.
Yeah.
And then normally the dentist, what they are doing is first they need to let the patients sit down, okay?
Yeah.
But now you do not need to wrap the patient. Formerly yes, but now you don't. But and then the robot, the dentist and the assistant are getting the robot in front of the patient's mouth, and then let the navigation system match, okay? And then because the patient has been pre-scanned by the CBCT or other data, and then the robot will have the CBCT data, so that it will give you some indication, right? When you are clicking to start the drilling, we will start to place the implant, right? So it has certain indicator, okay? But in fact, it's the dentist always to push the button. It's not autonomous, okay? And on the other hand, what the dentist is doing is suction. The dentist is suction. And
he's just
the
watching
implant,
what's going on.
Yeah, and the dentists are always there watching the monitor and also watching the mouth, okay? Yes, yeah. So there should have at least 2 personnel to operate, right, at this moment, right? But how about in the future term, if there is a really autonomous one, right? But of course, there is another thing would be the liability, right? If you do an implant drilling, but if it is fail, or if it is not in the accurate position, so
who's to blame?
Yes, now it must be the dentist, right? But in the future, I'm not sure. But anyway,
maybe the manufacturer.
I do believe it should be the medical institution, right? Because the robot is not operated in any place in garage, in your home, no, right? It should be in a proper medical environment,
right?
Facilities to operate, right? So and the way of the doctors or dentists they are doing, maybe they are one of the so-called the service provider, right? But he or she should have certain treatment planning ability, right? To let the patients know, what's your risk, what you are going to receive, and all the liability, sign the signature, right? So I believe that this kind of technology is there, but depends on how to deploy. It's also an important topic about the ethics.
Right. And applications of this kind of technology is going to be amazing, for example, for teledentistry, right? So areas like where you don't have,
you are correct,
proper like dentists, yes, or a large number of dentists.
Yeah. So for example, what a few months ago, I was just in a conference in China. They are really doing remote robotics.
For implants?
For implant. But what they do is that at that medical facility, they have 2 dentists to place the robot in front of the patient's mouth. Still have, right? And who click the button is the dentist at the back end.
On the other side.
On the other side. So this is happening, right? But what they are doing is the dentists over there, they are on site. They are still dentists, okay? Yeah. But they always have the control to pause, to stop.
So if something goes wrong, they can stop the procedure at the same time.
Yes, but they are simply not that experienced. Okay, so whether it's good or not, I don't know. But at least this is something is already happening.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I'm surprised that we've already reached this far. But like, I thought, like, I knew that. So some technologies like these, I've seen them.
Yep.
So like there will be something like a big microscope, and then the procedure, like, or the operator would wear some kind of glasses that kind of make an augmented reality, I think.
Yes, AR.
Right? And then they would see the actual path of insertion. That's what I knew that we are at.
Yes.
I did not know that like we have already moved past
but
this.
Even the Da Vinci system is, I think someone tried that already. Yeah, someone maybe in the this part of the world, and then the Da Vinci machine was in another part of another world. Yeah.
Very exciting, I guess. but also like from your experience, like patients' reaction to this kinds of technology, are they okay with it, or don't they show a bit, kind of concern?
In fact, I never know their response, right? But I guess if the medical institute or hospital, they running this kind of stuff for many cases, right? So it will build some reputations.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, maybe a patient going there for treating, implant with a lower cost, right? I think some of the dentists, some of the patients would not want to pay so much.
Definitely. I think not many patients would actually prefer
Yes.
not to pay so much for these implants. But again, like applications for these technologies are, I think, kind of endless. And you mentioned this a little bit in the lecture, that it's also applications not just in implantology, but for example in odontology.
Yes.
Applications are very
we can
possible.
expand to other dental applications as well.
Right. So, for example, like, and this is very interesting for me, with CBCT, you could figure out the number of canals in a tooth, and then is it also like already there, like an automated kind of system that?
Not yet.
Not yet.
Not yet. No, but I'm now working with another professors developing this kind of stuff, but it still have some problem because I need to find more engineers in my team to work on that project, right? It's not easy to find someone who can make, some of the PhD students or some of the engineers, they have certain aspects of the knowledge, but they cannot combine. They need to relearn. They need to learn again, and then trying to, I have this kind of situation, then how can you solve the problem, right?
Yeah.
So it's not easy to find this kind of people who are multi-talent, or who can work. I know some of the companies, they have engineer, right? They will group all the same group of engineer together, right?
Yeah.
But how about doing this kind of robot together with the medical, together with the AI? So in fact, they are not the same. The engineers are not the same, right?
Yeah.
So how to pull them together? It's also not an easy job.
But I think academia is like a gold mine for these kinds of projects, right? Because you can actually recruit people from different.
So that's why my research group, we have some computer scientists, we also have some materials engineer, we have some dentists. But now we want to find some robotic people to work. This is also not easy to find. When the student who would like to study robotics, they will only want to do some robotics. They may not want to do something in application.
Oh, okay. So they don't want to get into this kind of. How do you motivate them to join?
Unfortunately, my group of students, they have a lot of internal activities, right? So they know each other very well, and my students are very kind, very good. I sometimes I have some chat with them. I'm not always very top. I'm being a friend with them actually. So in my opinion, one of the critical issue is I'm only a people who may have a little bit senior, not senior, more research experience, and one of my roles is to find some money, right? Find the funding, right? But for them, they need to be focused, right? As a junior, if they don't know, they just ask us. If I cannot solve, I will find my colleagues from universities or even commercial side to find some solution, right? So that's my job, right? So, but I will not treat, I'm not sure whether I should talk on this, but some of the researchers are misusing some of the students maybe, right? But I will treat my students as a junior researcher, right? All of them can be trained. All of them can have certain abilities to work on many projects, right? But depends on how you enlighten them, right?
Exactly, right. And this is like, I'm glad that you actually talked about this, because I don't know, like especially PhD students, for example, like and most of them think that they cannot graduate, to be honest. Like they go into a program and then the PhD is just like they're lost, and that they would need guidance, from their professors. And like you said, if there is a a subject. Like obviously you're doing this kind of research that requires information from all over the place. How do you make it possible for them to actually do a different innovative research, but if it's out of the scope that that you are doing in the lab itself?
So if something has already been done, then don't do.
Exactly.
I always ask the student, don't do this kind of project. Yes, for training, maybe you can find 1 month, 2 months to try, right? But afterwards, he or she should need to find a way, find a path, okay, that can out, right? But in terms of PhD, I guess it's not only something that although the PhD should be focused on certain topic, but now recently my students are doing quite a lot wider than before. So for example, I have one student, she will graduate in September. So partially of her topic was on AI diagnostic, using MRI images diagnostic TMJ disease, but on the other part would be on the 3D printing of the TMJ replacement.
In one thesis?
In one thesis. So all are related to TMJ, but from diagnostic side to a manufacturing side, right? So within the same scope, but we try to do a little bit different approach, right? So and also formerly I have a student on working on zirconia, but one aspect was on bonding, but one aspect was on the surface behavior of some of the zirconia, but not on bonding, right? So I guess this is nowadays one of the trend, right? So because many of our students, yes, we also have some students, they only want to work out some very focused one kind of very specific topic. Yes, it's okay. But in terms of nowadays, for example, for me, I'm also doing a lot of funding, a lot of grant, a lot of works that need to interdisciplinarily to work. Because dentistry or medicine, in fact, it's not only one guy can say, right? Yeah. It's a multidisciplinary approach to highlight certain problems, to treat certain problems, right? So I guess this is one of the mindset that we should always take care of.
Yeah. Thank you very much for your time, Dr. James. Obviously, you shared a lot of information with us, and hopefully we'll see more technologies, more AI technologies being used in everyday dentistry.
Yeah, thank you so much for the invitation, and I hope this all pop no fiction can have more podcasts coming out, more people can be benefits from that.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone listening to this will learn a lot. Obviously I learned immediately something about robotics that it already applied here, but yeah, thank you very much for sharing your knowledge.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.